says all full, that's similar, they're just sure.
Glad you said that. I know, I knew.
At least you're on Facebook. Oh, you do? Yeah.
I think they'll be nice. Tell me what they do.
Okay. We'd like to call to order the city council meeting for April 1st, 2025. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, 1.1, public comments and announcements. At this time, we would like to listen to any member of the audience on any subject matter, whether or not that item is on the agenda. All comments are limited to a maximum of 4 minutes for each speaker, shall be limited to city business or city-related business or matters of general public interest, and shall not include any personal attacks. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, members may not discuss or take actions on any item that has not been posted on the agenda. When your name is called, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and clearly into the microphone before making your comments. Thank you. Kelly Stewart.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Kelly Stewart. I'm a resident of Seabrook, a registered voter, and one of the founders of Save Seabrook, a movement born out of love, frustration, and deep concern for the place we all call home. The movement began in the wake of Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. While I was fortunate to have power, I watched my neighbors struggle without electricity, without supplies, and without help. I joined a citizen-led food drive, and through that effort, I saw something bigger than just the storm response. I saw a city in crisis, not just from the hurricane, but from years of being ignored. At the first city council meeting after the storm, residents raised real and urgent concerns. A dangerous tree hanging on East Meyer, a small business desperately seeking guidance and support. In the aftermath, and then a gas line that was cut less than 24 hours after the storm, putting an entire neighborhood at risk. These were not complaints. They were cries for help. And when we were met with the mayor's now infamous response, "You can't fix stupid," that moment made it painfully clear that our voices were not being heard. So we organized. We filed a recall petition, not out of spite, but because we wanted accountability. It was filed quietly by a small group of citizens who had just met at a food drive. We didn't announce it publicly. We didn't make a scene. But that very night the recall was filed, July 22nd, I sat in the back of the city council meeting and watched as council members falsely accused Barge 295 owners of starting a rally or organizing the recall. None of that was true. That is misinformation, and it shows how quickly blame gets tossed around when people start asking questions. And while the recall was ultimately and unfairly invalidated, it sparked something more powerful. A community that's awake, engaged, and not backing down. Because the truth is, Seabrook has already lost too much. In my own lifetime, I watched the city disappear piece by piece. We've lost Outriggers. We lost Tookie's Hamburgers, Neptune Subs, Fatty's, Sonic, Waterburger. We lost Marburgers, Bait Shops, the boat ramp, the pier. We lost Papados, the pool, and after that, Seabrook Stingrays. The pink building on the waterfront, Maribel's, gone. Floppy Pets, the Seabrook Beach Club, just a memory. And the list is almost infinite. And tonight we will hear that we are losing more of Seabrook on the north side to the port, no matter what we say. And what have we gotten in return? A Taco Bell and a parking lot. We have the best access to Galveston Bay, possibly the entire Gulf, and yet there's nowhere to fish, no reason for people to come here to fish anymore. And maybe most disheartening of all, we've lost the vision. The idea that Seabrook could become something vibrant again. Margaritaville wasn't just a brand, it was a chance to move forward, and even now that's gone. What do we have to look forward to? A rinky-dink boat ramp with far too little parking slapped onto the most valuable access to the bay in one of the most active boating communities in the state. Is that what Seabrook deserves? I don't think so, and I know I'm not alone. We want a new sound study now that the highway expansion is complete. We want our small businesses treated fairly and transparently. We want real communication from our city, not silence or spin. We want accountability. The Save Seabrook movement is focused solely on promoting transparency and active citizen engagement with the city. Our success will not be measured on who loses or wins this election, but by how many residents show up, speak out, and vote. Save Seabrook isn't about the past, it's about the future. It's about preserving our identity, rebuilding our economy, and making sure the next generation has something left to inherit. We are a coastal community of history, resilience, and strength, but we are running out of time and running out of things to lose. This isn't just another election. This is a turning point. Every vote matters. This is your city, and your voice matters. Seabrook needs leadership. Seabrook needs vision. Seabrook needs us. And I just have one more thing left to say. The city confirmed that the statements made by Summer Sanford in last night's candidate forum, one being that the city staff were leaving due to the recall efforts, and two being that the recall cost the city $54,000. Both were false. Thank you for your time.
1.1, Mayor and City Council and members of city staff may make announcements about city community events.
All right, there's a lot going on here in early April. All of these events will happen before our next meeting. The first one is today, April 1st. Monroe Field Splash Pad is open from 9 to 8:30 p.m., but it's closed every Monday. So go by the splash pad. Last day to register to vote is this coming Thursday, April 3rd. Coffee with a Cop is on Friday, April 4th at the Beacon Federal Credit Union, just right up the road from us. Those events are always fun. Stop by and say hello to them there. The Seabrook Trail Adventure, Saturday, April 5th from 9 to 11, starts at Hester Garden Park. A great introduction to our trails, just to see what's out there. And early voting starts Tuesday, April 22nd until Tuesday, April 29th. The 22nd to the 29th for early voting right here in City Hall. It is open from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is all I have here. Have I missed anything?
Yeah, we have on Saturday, April 26th at 9 a.m., we're going to have the flag burning ceremony at the Bay Area Veterans Memorial on Main Street. If you have a American flag or even a Texas flag that needs to be disposed of, please bring it there. We'll burn it. We'll do the ceremony, and it's short and quick, but there's lots of flags to burn, so it's going to take a while. But, you know, the police, fire, EMS, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all sorts of people are going to be there, so. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, moving right along. 2.0. 2.1, conduct a public hearing on the request for approval of de-annexation of the additional Port Authority properties. Port of Houston Authority properties.
excuse me, for the record, it says Port of Houston. The proper name is Port Houston. The of is not there.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is just if there's any additional public comments on the ordinances.
Does anybody want to speak for or against it? Okay. 3.0, presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem, we just closed the public hearing.
Okay. We will close the public hearing. Okay, we have two presentations to make this evening. The first one is for the Bikers Against Child Abuse. Proclamation as follows. Whereas Bikers Against Child Abuse is an international nonprofit organization dedicated to providing support and healing to children who have been abused across 18 countries. And whereas these young victims are also known among the organization members as heroes, and whereas this exemplary organization has instituted a number of initiatives to champion the victims of child abuse, such as empowerment ceremonies, escort services, and work with local and state officials, and whereas it is truly fitting that a weekend be set aside to pay tribute to the bravery and determination shown by the victims of child abuse in facing and overwhelming their trauma. And whereas the Bikers of Child Abuse, Inc. holds a Heroes Weekend during the last weekend of April. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Hammond, Mayor Pro Tem, serving for Tom Kolupski, Mayor of City of Seabrook, dedicate April 25th and 27th of 2025 as the Heroes Weekend in Seabrook, Texas, for their support of the victims of the child abuse they serve. Why don't y'all come on up? We gonna get a picture? That's all. Y'all wanna come down? Oh, okay. You wanna do your statement there?
We can get the picture.
Let's get the picture. Let's get this. Here we go.
Did y'all want to get with them?
Well, take one and then we'll all get it.
You want it with the proclamation facing forward?
Yeah, open it.
All right. Did you get yours?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, look. Oh, yes. Come here.
Sorry. I will keep it brief. Just a reminder that Bikers Against Child Abuse exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. We call these kids our heroes because of the way they have to attend court, speak up, and talk about what has happened to them. So that's why we've started with the state and local cities to have this BACA Heroes Weekend, and also to celebrate not just them, but to bring awareness to April being Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. So we really appreciate this opportunity to come out and come before you just to help raise that awareness, because we need everyone's help. Council, every member of the city, we need everybody. So we just really appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, this proclamation is regard to sexual assault and awareness. In the presentation, let me go ahead and start. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in this community. And whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harm our community, and statistics show that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 26 men will be sexually assaulted or attempted a sexual assault in their lifetime. And whereas children, sexual assault abuse must be a priority and to confront the reality that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience sexual assault before age 18. And whereas young people experienced heightened rates of sexual violence, and the youth between the ages of 12 and 17 are sometimes 2.5 times more likely to be victims of rape or sexual assault. And whereas 1 in 5 men and 1 in 16 men are actually sexually assaulted during time in college and on campus. Whereas 95% of assaults on campus, college campuses go unreported, and whereas only 25 out of every 1,000 perpetrators will ever receive prison time. And whereas we must work together to educate our community about sexual violence prevention, supporting survivors, and speaking out against the harmful attitudes and actions. Now, therefore, in recognition of the important work done by domestic violence programs, I, Buddy Hammond, Mayor Pro Tem, on behalf of Tom Kolupski, Mayor of City of Seabrook, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and urge all citizens to actively participate in scheduled events and programs sponsored by the Bay Area Turning Point to work towards the elimination of this teen dating violence. There you are. Comments that you want?
Yes, I do.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and make your comments, and we'll photo op.
Yeah, because I have my comment pulled up here. Good evening, everybody. If you've been to these meetings, you probably know who I am. My name's Melissa Prentice. I am the Outreach Education and Prevention Director for Bay Area Turning Point. We are an organization that provides crisis intervention services for domestic violence and sexual assault victims. Thank you all for your support. We continue to appreciate the support that the City of Seabrook has given us, Seabrook Police Department as well. Just to give y'all kind of an idea, over the last year, we have taken we've assisted 28 people through our hotline call. This is all just in City of Seabrook. We've provided advocacy to 5 individuals, crisis intervention to 14. We've provided sexual assault accompaniments to hospitals to 6 individuals. We provided shelter to 3 and counseling to 5. And these are not even individuals that are domestic violence. These are strictly sexual assault victims. While these numbers may seem low out of 14,000 individuals, they're still too much. So we encourage everybody to get involved with Bay Area Turning Point, with the programs that we are trying to implement, with what we're trying to do with the city and with the police department, because we need those numbers to be 0. I do want to add that there is one more event happening in the city of Seabrook this month. Rob, you have that information. I'm kidding. Rob has this info. Anyways, we have our Light Up the Night event, which is going to be on April 17th, right over at Clear Lake Park. It's going to be from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. This is just a fun, community, family-friendly, free public event. It's open to anybody. Baca, we've had y'all before. We would love to have y'all again. I have the information over here. But this is where we do an awareness walk down NASA. Of course, it's barricaded, or there's a barrier. We're not walking on the street. We're going to have music, food, activities, resource fair. So it's good for the entire community to come out. And that's it. Thank you. Y'all are getting your steps in today.
Smile, Joe. All right, thank you.
Before we go further, just want to make a general announcement. At about 10 minutes to 7, we're going to adjourn into executive session to have a conference with our bond and legal counsel. 4.0 consent agenda. 4.1, approve the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 City Council meeting. 4.2, approve the quarterly investment report for the first quarter of fiscal year 2025, including October 24 through December 24. Approve the adjustments, item 4.3, approve the adjustments to the quarterly investment reports for fiscal year 2024, October 2023 through September of 2024. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. New business. Consider and take, 5.1, consider and take all appropriate action on approval of a forensic audit to be conducted by the city, to be conducted for all of the city of Seabrook finances. Mr. McCall.
Okay, so I see how this is written. First question will be to the city secretary. I don't think I wrote the words forensic audit. I think I wrote the words outside independent audit when I put it on for the agenda, correct?
Oh, I apologize if that's.
Because the words forensic come up. Forensic is when you know something and then you want to dig super deep into that. That's not what I put. So the words forensic got put on there, but that's not what I want. Okay, the city hasn't had an outside independent audit in, I don't even know when. Outside independent. It's had its own internal stuff, but it hasn't had that. And any new council coming in would definitely want that. Anytime you have a business or groups like a baseball umpire group or a football group or a city, when you have new management coming in, you'd always want to have an audit. Our city has not had that. I've heard too many things, plus I brought it up about 4 or 5 times now, the $2,000 from the Christmas boat parade. 5 weeks ago now, I asked who was the person who authorized the $2,000 to go from the general fund to the Christmas boat parade, and I still have not been given a name. Well, that means you can't find it. It's telling me that you can't find it. If you knew, you'd just be able to go, oh, it was this person right here. You can't do that. So that's one red flag, and that's just $2,000. At one point, money from the donated to the Veterans Memorial was just going into the general fund, which is not correct. And it's been changed because I kept bringing that up. And then the next one is we had an employee who had been with the city for 30 years and he retires, and the money comes out of the water budget that you paid him, I guess, a lump sum or something like that. People retire from the city of Seabrook. He's not the first person, and there'll be more people who retire. I find that very odd and weird that you would take it out of the water budget. There should be some type of fund set up for, hey, when people retire, this is where the money's come. Not just pick the water bill. That's weird. And it's just, so that's those are 3 or 4 reasons I think we need an audit, not a forensic audit, just a basic outside independent audit. And it won't cost the money that was brought up last night. It was talked up to $500,000. There's no way. This is a city of 14,000. Our budget is of a big budget, but at the same time, it wouldn't cost that. And I don't think that there's an issue, there should never be an issue to have a budget, a audit on our budget. So that's my 2 cents with that.
You want to take? Sure. Okay, it's, because I have a question in the fact that of the audit, we do have an external firm that annually provides an audit.
Currently engaged, going through the outside independent audit as we speak. We do it annually. Annually, they come and present any findings. In my tenure with the city, 17 years, there's never been any material findings. So our audit report has always been clean. That is done by an outside independent audit. Forensic audit, again, is a whole different thing. I mean, it's not a whole different thing. What it is more evasive. So an outside independent auditor comes in and they pull data. They pull testing. They spend a lot of time with the finance department researching where there might be misrepresentations, potentially fraud. They take a sample of all of our financials and they put together their report off of that and their analysis. So
the bottom
in the
line,
event that we were to go to a forensic audit, typically when you go into a forensic audit, something has been discovered, so then you want to take a closer look at something.
okay, I understand, but Joe's not asking for a forensic audit. He just wants an outside audit, but from what I understand, and from what my experience has been, that we've had our comprehensive annual financial report
Yes.
audited every year by an outside firm. Now, the firm may be the same from year to year. However, the people doing it change. So specifically, Joe, what do you feel they missed?
Okay, so let's get down to some specifics. What's the name of the company that does the audit?
Right now, we're engaged with Crow.
Is the name Crow?
Yes.
So that has been Crow for the last what? How
It
many?
was Belt Harris and Piacek before that.
But they're still part of Crow, correct?
They bought out Belt Harris.
This is what I'm getting at. It needs to be a whole different firm. This is what we had talked about before. Every 3 to 5 years, a city needs to use a completely different firm. Completely different. Not anyone who bought the same company out. They use the same thing. You want the difference. I've talked to many CPAs about this. They go, no, you don't want the same group. You want someone completely different. Plus, I think this city has also used that Crow for, I think we established it was a lot longer than 5 or 6 years. It was 12 or 13 or something like that. So all I'm saying is get someone completely different than who we've used in the past and just have them come in and look at it from a different set of eyes.
When is the audit done? What time period is the audit? When is the external audit done?
So they come in late August, September, and do what they call the interim audit, and then they come back. Right now, we're currently going through it, so they've been doing it for about 6 weeks.
Okay, so, Joe, considering the fact we're only months away from the audit being conducted, there'll be a new council sitting here very shortly, and why don't we just pass that on to them with our recommendation that, or suggestion, we still have to go out for bid, correct?
We are going to go out for bid. I would like to add, so in 2011, my predecessor, the finance director, and the previous city manager presented to council information from auditing partners who had conducted research, and this is published on Texas Municipal League and has been accepted a fair amount. There are still people that change auditors every 3 to 5 years. But what the research showed is that more fraud is missed by changing your auditors every 3 to 5 years. Now, I'm not saying we don't need to change if y'all want to change. I'm just saying there was a reason back in 2011 that the city council at that time thought, that makes sense. It's not just haphazard. It's not that there's any nefarious activities going on. It's simply professionals got up, presented to the city council that was sitting here at that time, and they said, that makes a whole lot of sense. And so they voted in favor of disbanding that rule where we had to change auditing firms every 3 to 5 years. Now, that was approved, and then we went ahead and changed auditing firms anyway. So just to be clear on that. So, go ahead.
So we're in the middle of an audit right now.
Correct.
We have to put out an RFP for auditing before the end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
So it seems like this is kind of well handled. Obviously, the approval of the RFP won't come back for this council, but the next council will have to consider that and see if they want to stay with the same one, go to a different one, or how they want to handle it. But for right now, from what I can tell, the audits are being done by an external party.
Yes. As to the water budget, again, it's not that we just picked a department. The employee who retired was in that department. Now, as I stated last time this came up, I need to look into that individual. His salary was split between water, sewer, because he ran all of Public Works. He was the director of water, sewer, streets, parks. So his salary is split up in multiple departments. When I said I would look into it, and I unfortunately have not had an opportunity to do that, I will. However, what I stated then and what I will restate tonight is it's likely that all of his retirement allocation went to the water department. So again, I know no one wants to do adjustments, but sometimes they happen. So if we get in there and we find out that is what's driving that one line item over budget, then we will make an adjustment and make a correction on that.
One more quick point with you. I asked about 5-6 months ago for you to start doing a budget every month, and you do the budget every month now. You present it. Fantastic. So this is not an attack on you. It's what other citizens have brought up to me. Why did our city not? You just explained it actually pretty well. I like that back in 2011, the council voted like that. Okay, I understand it. I don't agree with it. I still think every 3 to 5 years. That's my opinion, though.
I agree.
So again, it's not you. I mean, I think every time we've asked you for budget, you've told us exactly where it is, and we can find it and all that. So again, it's not against you. It's just what I'm saying is, I think the citizens, and I'm talking for them, they would like to see that outside independent audit, not a forensic. So how that got on there, I don't know. It was never meant to be a forensic audit. It was just an independent group away from the group that started back in 2011. That's all we're trying to say.
Okay, Joe, in as much as the wheels are in motion now to go out for an RFP to assess, different vendors and stuff, will that satisfy?
Yeah, I guess if there's going to be, at least 3 people interviewed to to do that by that next council, I guess that's fine, you know?
Okay. Would that also satisfy 5.2 regarding the EDC? Because EDC is part of the comprehensive annual financial report.
Yeah, and real quickly on EDC, what that was brought up was the last meeting. I heard a recording, and I was surprised to hear, and quote, it was by one of the members said, "Oh, we stopped giving money up front because we lost thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to giving to companies up front, and then they never actually opened or ran out of, they lost their business within months of opening." And I was like, what? Well, I haven't heard of that. So like, when did this all happen? So that was actually said. So I was like, well, wait a minute, then I guess we need to do an audit on that too. So,
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I can appreciate, what you're saying regarding that comment, and we meet the third Thursday of the month. I will bring that up, and I'll get it back to you, okay?
yeah, that's fine, as long as this is being discussed and it's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
All
Okay,
good.
so that takes care of 5152. Anybody else?
Do we need to go into executive now?
I just have a comment. I just want to say the audits that our third party does now is not the same kind of audit as most people would think. It's not like an IRS personal audit. It's not actually going through the finances. It's more of like a review of how the money has allocated and done right. Is that correct? It's not really looking for fraud.
No, they go through our receipts and, you're talking about a personal audit that the IRS would do. So our receipts, they go through our invoices, they go through our cash payments that we receive. So they're going through our receipts, they look at our internal controls to make sure that, we're following them. So
I have to do annual audits too for my company, and so it's not the same as like normal people would say an audit, like personal audit.
Well,
they don't go
the
into
IRS is more evasive, from my understanding, as far as the audit goes. And again, that gets back into, and again, I'm not saying that you called for a forensic audit, but what that would trigger if council wished to move forward with a more in-depth audit, it would be the same audit that they're doing now. They would just pull much more data. They would look at, instead of sampling 100 items on this one department or one fund or whatever it may be, they would look at whatever council wanted them to look at. And therefore, your price could be $100,000. It could be $500,000 if you chose to have them look at every single thing. That would depend on the scope in which you wanted the auditors to look at. So obviously the IRS has a much bigger budget than
right.
the Seabrook.
Okay, I want to make one final comment about finance. Most people don't realize that the state of Texas requires all municipalities to adhere to the procedures dictated by GASB. GASB is Governmental Accounting Standards Board. They're the ones that set how complex the accounting is done. And the award that Mike and his crew just got was an audit to see how well they followed GASB. And anybody's been around GASB, it's complex. It can be understood, but it takes time. It's not QuickBooks, I can tell you that for sure.
And on that note, I would like to add on, again, I feel like the reputation of the auditors are being attacked as well. And I will say, not only do they come in and audit us, there's an association that audits their work and makes sure they're in compliance with their, and I forget the acronym that they fall under, but it's an organization quite like GASB that ensures that they're auditing to a high level and certain parameters have to be met. So we're not just pulling people in off the street to say, hey, come look at this stuff. These are professional auditing firms.
Okay, anybody else? All right, thank you very much, sir. 5.3, consider and take all appropriate action on the first reading of ordinance 2025-06, de-annexation of additional property of the Port of Houston Authority pursuant to Amendment Number 3 of the Memorandum and Settlement Agreement. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seabrook, Texas, approving de-annexation of the Port of Houston Authority property comprising approximately 51.2 acres as described below. Do I hear a motion?
We don't have one for each one of these? You, the whole thing?
That's the whole thing. I don't have to read the whole thing.
Thank you so much.
That's what I just said.
But if you want, that's just, you know,
Point three?
Second.
okay, discussion. No discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Mr. McCall opposed. Oh, wait a minute, we got more here. Okay, 5.4, consider and take all appropriate action on Resolution 25-07, grant of a right-of-way permanent easement of 4.93 acres pursuant to Amendment Number 3 of the Memorandum of Settlement Agreement between the City of Seabrook and the Port of Houston Authority. Gail, can you explain that?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this is also in accordance with the recently approved settlement agreement. We had exchanged and got a right-of-way on the north side of town where the commercial road is going through. So with the port's announcement of taking and constructing that roadway, we have no use for that right-of-way anymore. And per the settlement agreement, this is the Second Amendment of formalizing that transfer back over to the port.
Okay. Any questions?
One more point, again, just to go back, because of a technicality, keep saying Port of Houston. The actual name is Port Houston. And the rep is here, and he's getting very angry. So I don't want him to get very angry, so please, let's refer to it as Port Houston.
Is that correct?
You know, if you want to ride a bus in Houston, it says Metro on the side, but if you read their paperwork, it says Metropolitan Transit Authority of Harris County, Texas. So in the same way we use Port Houston as a trade name, all our legal name is still Port of Houston Authority.
Did you get that, John?
Legal name is Port of Houston.
I stand corrected.
All right. Wait a minute, can we hear that again?
That's on video, isn't it?
See, and he didn't even get mad either. See, I like that.
Yeah, you want?
All right. So we need a motion on 5.4?
Yes.
I move to approve item 5.4, resolution 2025-07.
Second. Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Still be the no.
5.5, consider and take all appropriate action on the first reading of the final approval of ordinance 2025-07, amending the budget for fiscal year 2024. I have to read this now, don't I? Okay. An ordinance amending the amount of appropriations for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024 by authorizing certain additions in the amount of $1,190,404.07 for general enterprise, Veterans Memorial, Child Safety, STEP, General Fund, CIP, Capital Improvement Projects, Fire Projects, Drain Fund, Economic Development, Special Court Revenue Funds, Public Safety Vehicle Equipment Replacement Fund, Crime District, Public Safety, Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund, Park Impact Fund, Animal Shelter, Debt Service Fund, PEG Fund, and General Vehicle Equipment and Replacement Fund, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to facilitate the changes identified, and finding appropriate available unencumbered funds for the supplemental appropriation and/or reserve reduction.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, 5.4. Consider and take all appropriate action on the final reading, first and final reading of approval ordinance 2025-08, amending the fiscal year 2025 budget. An ordinance amending the amount of appropriations for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, by authorizing certain additions in the amount of $2,334,910 for the funds as described. We'll hold it down, please. Chief? Do I hear a motion?
Just a correction, you said 5.4, it's actually 5.6, so I'll just make.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay,
I move to approve item 5.6.
me too, second.
See, buddy, I'm not the only one that makes mistakes.
Okay, I made a mistake.
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No discussion, all in favor? Passes. Okay, telephone, huh? All right, okay. 5.7, consider and take all appropriate action on approval of Resolution 2025-08, opposing SB 2722 and HB 5177. A resolution of the City Council of Seabrook expressing opposition to Senate Bill 2722 and House Bill 5177, and urging the Texas legislature to reject these measures in their current form. Do I have to read this? Well,
The Cliff Notes version is, there's a bill at the House that would require toll road revenue, 30% of it, to go to law enforcement and such. And there's a significant concern that that would severely limit the money available for county road and infrastructure projects. When you consider how many of our roads within the city of Seabrook belong to the county, it could have a big impact on us as well. Is that an accurate summary?
It did, and I would also add, in part of the addendum, it talks about the grant partnership. So as you know, we've gotten a number of different Precinct 2 partnership grant programs at the 50-50 match. So it would take a big hit on us being able to be partners on infrastructure. So in the past, we've had multiple city streets that the commissioner has partnered with us. So it would be a double hit for us.
So if I recall, I know they've partnered on several city streets. I know we've talked about partnering with them on Meyer, on the parking at the baseball field, on the pier, and several other projects as well. And this could
Could, yes.
This could impact availability of funds for them to partner with us on this type of project.
Correct.
I just want to add one thing. This is a very good example of how our friends in Austin help cities out. Okay, has it been moved to second? Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to approve 5.7.
Have a move and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, passes. We will hold routine business. Yeah. You want to go ahead? Can you get your routine business in? Let these good folks go home? Well, wait a minute. No, go ahead, Gail.
All right. I'm going to pass down on the legislative item, brief memo. I won't go over, let me keep one copy, sorry. I won't go over every anticipated bill that we're watching at the staff level, but hopefully you guys are watching the TML legislative updates that are coming to you on the Exchange email every Friday. They do an excellent job of doing a summary on each one of the bills that have direct impact to local municipalities. And so this is just a highlight of some of those bills, and we'll continue to pass on the cheat sheets, as you will, of the ones that we're watching. In particular, the ones that you'll see in this memo that we're watching with anticipation are with the apartments. So as we've been talking about with the housing units that came in and took the apartment complex, there are a couple of bills that have been introduced to, one, make sure that never happens in the future to municipalities, and then two, reviewing some of the bills this week, looks like there could be a clawback on our existing that has already been taken out. So doing a little bit of research right now to make sure we get their audits, because there are certain requirements based on this bill for the housing units that they're supposed to submit to the state. So good news on that there may be some, maybe aid in the future on what we've already lost, and certainly no further loss on the units being able to come in and do that to us. Land use continues to be probably the most interesting sector that we're following. The accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, a lot of changes on the horizon for that. Quite a few disannexation laws that are coming into play, that if municipalities are not fully providing all municipal services in those areas, that landowners can petition and get those disannexed. And we also are watching that one very closely. There's a number of debt bills that are also up on the floor as well, and those have some significant changes for any type of future debt issuance for municipalities. And then lastly, there's a few on public safety and open information or open government that would have some changes as well. So I won't go into that minute of a detail, but I'll send this also to you electronically. And then again, this Friday, we'll have the exchange with the bills that are on the move. As far as the general updates, we've got 146 project, and I won't recap a lot, but because we did a lot at the town hall meetings, so I'm sure everybody is up to speed on most of these projects. But 146 on the Red Bluff back to the over the bridge to the south. We're in the final stages. We have a contract with the, it's called an advanced funding agreement, so there'll be a closeout in essence between the city and TxDOT. A lot of that's the aesthetic items. So we'll have final plantings, we'll have touch-ups as far as the logos that we've talked about. Councilor Rasco sent a picture on the bollards, so it looks like we've got some flaking on the paint on the bollards. All that'll be done. They've assured us that we'll have a final walkthrough, so we'll make sure that we collect those. Landscape contract, I've reached out to them. Also had a comment this week on the weed control. So again, we talked about the landscaping company is still in control, so we'll continue to feed those complaints over to their contractor to make sure that they treat for those. 146 project Red Bluff to Spencer. This is the one that we talked about during the town hall that's got the Red Bluff closure. So I've sent some correspondence to go above what we call the Southeast District Office to the Houston District Office to see if we can get some additional meetings. We've got the footprint on this going out into the section on Red Bluff that has yet to have the railroad removed. That is part of this project, so that will be coming in a separate bid project, they tell me. And then the intersection start date, so at Old 146 in Red Bluff, still to discuss if there could be a partial close rather than a full close. On our CIP updates from our previous bond project, it's been slow, but we're finally at the end. So we are looking to publish for the construction side of this on April 16th. And we'll have 2 publications and a bid opening next month, so we'll be able to proceed and get this project off the ground. ARPA projects, the last piece that we have yet to do is the restroom at Bremerhop Park, and this is an exhibit of the restroom that will be delivered soon here just off Repsdorf. And we're looking to hopefully relocate the single-seater over to Wildlife Park, but this will finish out all of the ARPA funds and money. On our water projects, we are reaching the end of our Old 146 interconnect. There's not a lot to see off Old 146, but in the world of public works, this is a fabulous project for the city of Seabrook. It allows us to take in water to our city. So if for any reason our main trunk line goes down, loses pressure, we've been striving to get these interconnects to give us backup and resiliency. The Gion to Red Bluff is our other interconnect with all of the construction on the north side, the closed port exit, all of that needs to be completed and before we can get that final connection on the interconnect. And then next week, we'll be kicking off the Seascape Waterline project. So we have a notice to proceed for next week. Public Works is working with the contractor, so there'll be some communications to the affected parties. But pretty much between the subdivision that's going to be between Red Bluff and Toddville, there'll be quite a bit of activity going on out there. So we'll keep you posted on that. On a couple of other notes, don't have a slide on. I know we've had some communications back and forth on the plastic flying on the lights. They've got taken care of that. And we've got the electrical pole, I think McCall had asked about on Main Street. And if you drove by it today, you can see where there's a lot of activity going on. That little project, the box and all of it fell apart. So we are going to relocate it and we're doing some boring. So that pole by the memorial will no longer be a vertical obstruction there. So we're going under and doing some things on the other side of the street. But hopefully we'll have sidewalk repairs and everything will look completed here in the next couple of weeks. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. So it's coming down to the last few meetings for me. So when the 146 project started in 2019, we started taking drone footage. And we've never been shown the drone footage of the before and to now. So I want to see that. I mean, like, I want it played on the big screens and I want to watch it. And so I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see. So definitely want to see that. And then I talked to those same guys that were putting up the lights on Repsdorf with the plastic hanging off. And they said that there's still an electrical issue on NASA 1 from 146 all the way up to El Lago. So any report on when those streetlights are going to get fixed?
I'm going to put Bryant, no update. Okay. So they were waiting on parts so there's some additional parts that they were waiting on for those last sections that are still out, but they're on top of it.
Yeah, because again, this is not on you, but they told you back in December that January they'd get those parts, and now it's April. So obviously they have some issues getting parts, but oh well.
Anything else?
I just have a question. Where are we at with the farmer's market ordinance and wording and?
So I'm going to propose and come back to council with a new permit just tailored to farmers markets. Diving into the special event permits, I think making a farmers market permit specifically for them will give them additional, I think, controls that we wouldn't need to put on them for just a special event. So we're working on that. I'm hoping to have that on the next agenda.
Okay, I think she was wanting to get in there on May if possible. So yeah, that would be great if we can get it on the next one.
Okay, we're running out of time. Is there anything else? Okay, we're going to adjourn to go into executive session. Wait a minute. Okay, we're going to establish future meeting dates and agenda items. We've got 3 minutes.
Mayor and council, your next regular scheduled meeting is April 15th at 6 p.m.
Anything else? Okay, we're going to be adjourned to executive session. Chief, you'll be the adult in the room to make sure these people behave. no action was taken in the executive session. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Good job, buddy.
Short and sweet, buddy. Throw your ass out?
That's pretty good. I've seen.
How much would you need those dogs? What? You want a bear dog? Good to see y'all's dog. Oh, Ollie, she's how sweet. She doesn't seem that. She's not allowed on our. No. How many dogs goes on the